All right, let's jump right in. We're about to take a trip, a really long trip, like 2.5 million years into the past, to find out how our bodies were actually designed to run. This is all about finding our original operating manual. So let's start with a question, one that kind of flips everything we've been taught about diet completely upside down. What if the real problem isn't how much we're eating, but what we're eating? It sounds simple, right? But stick with me because this idea challenges decades of health advice. And here's the crazy paradox we're all living in. We've got more food available more easily than at any point in human history. I mean, you can get anything you want 24/7. And yet, we're sicker than ever. We're seeing skyrocketing rates of things like obesity, diabetes, heart disease. It just doesn't make sense, does it? Something is seriously wrong. And the answer, it turns out, isn't in some futuristic lab-grown food. Nope, it's buried deep in our own past. Okay, so to really get to the bottom of this, we've got to look under the hood at our own biology. Think of the human body as this incredibly advanced machine, and for literally millions of years, evolution was tweaking and perfecting it, designing it to run optimally on one specific type of fuel. And check this out. This is where it gets really, really interesting. Look at our body's energy tanks. You can store, on average, something like 40,000 calories worth of energy as fat. That's huge. Now compare that to carbohydrates, or what we call glycogen. You can only store about 2,000 calories. I mean, it's not even close. And this isn't some accident or a flaw in the design. It's a massive clue about what our primary fuel source is supposed to be. So what does that tell us? It tells us that massive fat tank wasn't just for emergencies, for just in case. No way. That was meant to be the main tank. Our bodies were built for endurance, designed to run on fat for long stretches, like in between successful hunts. We are, by design, fat-burning machines. And this is especially true for our most important, most energy-guzzling organ, the brain. It takes up like 20% of our energy. Now sure, the brain can run on sugar, on glucose, but what's fascinating is that it actually prefers to run on something else called ketones. These are these super efficient energy molecules that our liver makes from fat. And get this, newborn babies are actually born in a state of ketosis. Why? To fuel that incredible brain development right from the start. That's how fundamental this is. Okay, so if we're basically built to be these lean and mean fat-burning machines, what on earth went wrong? How did we end up in this metabolic mess we're in today? Well, the story takes a sharp turn, and it happens with a really recent and really dramatic change in what we started putting on our plates. Let's put this in perspective. For 99% of our time on this planet, 2.5 million years, we were hunter-gatherers. We ate fat and protein. Carbs, they were a rare thing, like finding some berries in season. It was a treat. Then, just 10,000 years ago, which is literally a blink of an eye on an evolutionary scale, everything changed. The agricultural revolution hits, and suddenly our diet is flooded with grains and carbohydrates, for the first time ever. And you don't have to take my word for it. We can literally see the results written in our ancestors' bones. The evidence from archaeology is just stark. You look at hunter-gatherer skeletons, and you see strong bones, healthy teeth, basically no signs of the diseases we see today. Then you look at the skeletons of the very first farmers, and it's a different story. They were shorter. They had rampant tooth decay. They had clear signs of nutritional deficiencies. This brand new diet, it came with a heavy price. All right, let's talk about maybe the biggest mystery in all of human evolution. Our brain. Our big, beautiful, ridiculously powerful brain. How in the world did we develop an organ that's so complex and so incredibly hungry for energy? Well, you can probably guess by now. The answer comes right back to our diet. I mean, think about this. Over 2 million years, our brains tripled in size. That just doesn't happen in nature. It's totally unique to us. For that kind of explosive growth to happen, you need a fuel source that's unbelievably energy-dense and super efficient. Something had to be powering that leap. And that brings us to what's called the carnivore ketogenic hypothesis. It's a powerful idea, and it's pretty simple, really. The theory goes that by hunting and eating the nutrient-packed fat and organs from large animals, our ancestors unlocked the perfect fuel to build a better brain. Ketones. You could say our intelligence was literally built by fat. So, okay, if this way of eating is so hardwired into our DNA, what happens when we actually go back to it? What kind of amazing things get unlocked when we let our body flip that switch and return to its natural default state?
First, let's just be super clear about what ketosis even is. It sounds like some weird extreme thing, but it's not. It is a completely natural metabolic state. It's simply what happens in your body when you take away all the carbs. It just switches its fuel source. It stops burning sugar and starts burning fat. That's it. It's the factory default setting.
And when you're in this default state, some pretty incredible things start to happen. Your body kicks on this process called autophagy, which literally won a Nobel Prize. And it's like a deep cleaning for your cells, recycling old junk. It also boosts something called BDNF, which you can think of as fertilizer for your brain, helping it grow new connections. And the fuel itself, ketones, it's just cleaner. It produces fewer damaging free radicals than burning glucose does. It even flips on ancient genes that are tied to a longer life and less inflammation. It's pretty amazing stuff.
Which, of course, begs the big question. If this is all so great and so natural, how did we get it so spectacularly wrong? How did we end up in a world where fat is the bad guy and a plate full of pasta is considered healthy?
Well, a lot of it comes down to a few key moments in history that kind of created this fat phobia. Back in the 1960s, the sugar industry actually paid scientists to publish research that blamed saturated fat for heart disease, conveniently taking the spotlight off sugar. Then, fast forward to the 90s, and we get the official food pyramid, which was heavily influenced by big agriculture. And what did it tell us to do? Eat 6 to 11 servings of grains a day. This advice wasn't purely about health. It was also about money.
So, let's pull all these threads together. It's really time to rethink what we consider normal when it comes to food. We need to flip the script on what's a diet
And what's just our baseline. And here's the bottom line, the main takeaway from all of this. That high-carb, processed food diet that most of the world considers normal, that is the radical, brand new, untested experiment. Ketosis, the state of burning fat for fuel, that's the 2.5 million-year-old baseline. That's not the experiment. That's our heritage.
So I want to leave you with this one last thought. What if we stop thinking of ketosis as some restrictive diet we go on and start seeing it as our natural, native metabolic state? It changes everything. It means that maybe, just maybe, a lot of our modern health problems aren't new diseases we need to find cures for, but are simply symptoms. Symptoms of a profound mismatch between our ancient bodies and our modern food environment. And if that's true, then getting healthy isn't about trying some radical new thing. It's just about coming home.